So after I verbalised my concerns that we'd replaced one useless goalkeeper with another last time out, Lucas Perry responded to that challenge by getting 7 clean sheets in his next 8 matches. Also, yes, he was subbed on against Burnley. We've had a goalkeeper injury, thankfully only to the backup. But welcome back to Wolverhampton, where everyone's happy and people have gotten over their slights at not being included in the European squad list. But staying on the goalkeeping point here, he has made saves to get those clean sheets. It's not like we've just not faced any shots at all. We had 10 saves against Fulham. 10 against Fulham, of all people. And also he saved 2 against Leicester as well. Like, it's the surprising teams putting up the big XGs that we've prevented here. And I did have that thought as well after repeating the 0% save rate that Jose Sarr had at the end of last season. I did go back and check these games towards the end of the season. Man United, I think, had a couple of shots, but those clean sheets were against 1 shot on target, pretty much. All of them. So whilst he has a 100% save rate in this game, it's 100% of 1. And all of these clean sheets here in the middle pack, we have started conceding a few more lately, but all of these clean sheets here were multiple shots against. And he's only conceded twice in that stretch against Spurs, which is a bit annoying. It's one of those games where a team gets an early upper hand and then refuses to let go of it. We may have hit the woodwork 3 times. But fixtures across the board looking very strong. Frank Rossi 0-0 followed up by Man City 0-0 is quite amusing. Just the calibre of teams there. But no offence to Frank Rossi, but we should have probably won that game, quite frankly. But 0-0 against Man City, we did shut them out. And whilst Ederson's the one that comes away with the player of the match, and once again they didn't play Haaland or even bring him, I don't know why Pep keeps doing me this favour. But we were the better side, even if we are struggling to have shots on target. And also as a side note, goalkeeper-wise, I don't think I've seen it yet, but in previous editions, I have moaned at the fact, or at least the frequency, in which goalkeepers have sort of 15, 16 save matches. I've not seen that yet this year. 10 against Fulham is the highest I've seen, I think, or paid attention to and seen. You're not seeing that kind of frustrating, endless shots on target that aren't going in against a goalkeeper at, say, Basel or Young Boy, one of those quote-unquote fodder teams in European football, where you'd have 20, 30 shots, 15, 16 on target and not score. I've not really seen that. The rates of saving or shots on target seem a lot more sensible. I don't know if that's whether or not just more shots are off target or blocked or deflected wide or things like that, but number of shots on target that are being saved are no longer unnaturally high, which I like. Does also mean that we have failed to keep a clean sheet against Burnley, Everton and Middlesbrough of late. We also gave a point to Norwich. Admittedly, we actually claimed a point against them because we were 2-0 down. Of course, Lamina scored. But European-wise, France hates us right now because we have demolished both Rhyme and Rennes 5-0. Just 10-0 on aggregate against France. There, we do have Newcastle in the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup immediately before the Premier League, because of course we do. But today, as promised, Napoli, who are 17th in this Europa League, and Arsenal, who are 3rd in the Premier League. We have got ourselves up to 6th after a worrying start. That form has picked up. Man United remain unbeaten, and Man City are well off the pace. And I have to check this because I can only assume this is a European fixture that he's unregistered for, but I think this explains it. I'm pretty certain he's had a, cruciate ligament injury against Italy, immediately after having a pulled hamstring actually as well. So he had back-to-back international injuries and is only just coming back. So that's why Man City are having a spot of bother. As for our Europa League campaign, because we are starting with Napoli here, so I will focus on this. Our old friend Maxi Gomez is a top goal scorer at the moment for Trabzonspor. I didn't know he'd moved. Oh, I did know he moved. I just didn't think he was at that Turkish side. I just didn't realise he was at that one. I knew he'd gone there because that's where I got him from last year. Still pretty solid. But we are second. AEK Athens, the surprising team here, but if we show their fixture list, they've had quite kind fixtures, apart from Braga, which admittedly 3-0. Well done. Their 3 biggest opponents probably actually yet to come. Well, they put themselves in a really good shout for getting automatic qualification regardless at this stage. Rapid Wien as well, doing very well. Napoli only 7 points after 5 games. Chelsea only 8 points after 5 games. They're in this as well, do not forget. And Rennes also 7 points. The ones you expect to be the big hitters, all in this block really. Sevilla doing what they should do. Wolfsburg doing what they should do. And depending on how fixtures go, we could effectively seal progression at this point in time. We have carefully curated the playtime of our main squad over the last couple of matches, even if I have misjudged when to rest them, evidently. So against Napoli, we will play 2 of the players that we bought from them. Lucas Perry in goal, Aït-Nouri, Kilman, Østegård, the first of those, Semedo, João Gomez, Elmas, there's the other one, Smith Rowe, Cunha, Neto, Klajic is full first team. And we actually have the full roster available to us, even for the bench, as they have taken out Kvaratskhelia. Interesting. And Lobotka too. Two big players, still playing Osimhen though. And our old friend Alex Merritt in goal, who is finally getting the kind of plaudits he kind of deserves, I think, in terms of attributes. For many years, he went a little bit under the radar in terms of price tag. Admittedly, while still actually having the attributes and the potential to be great, but he went under the radar for ages in terms of playing time and price tag. Often Napoli would transfer list him and sell him. No longer the case. Now he has solidified first team status. Interestingly, like, while the name fix has worked, they're not here. But Merritt for a couple of years was my go-to goalkeeper, as that is played out. And Greaser, formerly of Fulham, of course. Di Lorenzo inwards, but that is intercepted. Cunha latches on that eventually from the pass forward. Cunha pulls it across. Kalajic is there. That is terrible defending. How on earth did he get the space to do that? By the way, if you ever spy that Neto and Kalajic's morale isn't as strong as the rest of the team, it's because they both have promises to be sold if we get a bit of a certain value. And that seems to cap their morale at average. For whatever reason, that is holding back their morale. And it's really annoying. Kalajic's is around 50 million. Pedro Neto is, I think, is 110 million if we get a bid for. He can go. Obviously, no one went near either of those, but we promised it all the same, just to keep them at least that happy. Politano moves inwards. Kalajic nicks that off Politano, who gets it back again. But Elmas, playing against his former team, was the one to come forward there, but dispossessed. Di Lorenzo now. Politano and Greaser. Elmas. Di Lorenzo and Politano are two players I do like and admire. Not getting any younger at this point in time, unfortunately. Although, to be fair, nobody's getting any younger, but you know what I mean. Smith Rowe smashes that one wide. Actually saying that, they're both 31. I actually thought Di Lorenzo was a little bit older. I've just encouraged them. They're 1-0 up. I don't know why I did that. I knew it wouldn't work. But I have been tactically tweaking over this period, and there have been frustrating games. Obviously, the Frank Rossi 0-0, where we couldn't score. 3 woodworks against Spurs. Just sort of trying to optimise and find the... Kalajic actually gets to the end of a corner for once. It's weird. You don't see it that as often as you probably should. Cunha, out to Semedo. I've toyed with a few little things. Ultimately, the formation stayed the same, as that didn't really look like a penalty. It's whether he's got man, then ball, because he definitely got the ball. Penalty awarded. It'll be Cunha to take, I imagine. It is indeed. Merritt saves. Nice, that's Cunha's rating down the toilet then. But he'll take this corner nonetheless. The short option available, and Kalajic gets on the end again. I generally don't think I've seen a game where we've had 2 corner highlights that actually end up with Kalajic, and he actually gets the shot off. Well, that's the end of that highlight. Merritt keeps them in it. I don't want to jinx it, but Osimhen's on a 6.4. Admittedly, he's also on poacher. So far, one of the greatest striking threats in the game, kept quiet. But Cunha, despite the penalty miss, went down to a 7.4, is up to a 7.5 again, but he is tired, bless him. So Guedes on. Honestly, Guedes has been great to just keep around for this role precisely, just to come on for Cunha. No one else is looking super tired, but Aït-Nouri for Bard, and I think I might take Elmas off for Bellegarde, who hasn't actually been as terrible as I was anticipating him to be, considering his attributes and price tag. They paid way too much for him regardless, but Kalajic doesn't get to that one. I keep being offered Romani as well, in their defence. His price tag's ridiculous, really, for what he is. He's 30 years old and admittedly quite good, but the price tag's still 50 million. I'm not paying that. But it is quite funny I'm being offered another Napoli player on a regular basis after, stealing 2 of them, cut price. It's only 1-0, and it's a tricky situation at 1-0. Politano on the ball here, nicked by Bellegarde. Looks like AEK are winning again, fine odd drawing, but still unbeaten, clearly. Guedes is taking his time, then smashes it over. So AEK actually rising to the challenge of whoever they were playing this week. I know it's Rennes next, but whoever they were against this time around aren't exactly easy either, if I remember rightly. I do kind of want to take off some of the more important people. Just going to bring Januzaj on because Rooney played the entirety of the last game and is a bit tired. I think Smith Rowe is probably the one to protect next. Tomine on. Because we need to keep people... We've had a 3 XG here, actually. Aside from the penalty save, we should have scored another. Merritt is showing his worth as... I mean, this is the 90th minute. I think we can get away with this. As we play 5 minutes of injury time on a 3-minute injury. We see things out, and it's another clean sheet for Lucas Perry. Daniel Iverson just returning to fitness as well. I probably would have paid Perry in this one anyway. And Osimhen, 6.3. Kept him very quiet. Our pass map is baffling. Semedo and Neto are on their side of the map. And yet Kalajic is all the way back. I mean, this is obviously the average passes. It's not their average position, but it is curious. Kind of feels like Cunha and Elmas were a little bit on top of each other in this particular game. Normally they do spread out a little bit more. Chelsea do win, push them into contention for the automatics. But AEK, who did they play and who did they beat? Trabzonspor. Kept Maxi Gomez quiet then. Rennes lose to Villarreal. And obviously we beat Napoli there. So a couple of the big boys are likely going to miss out. Ren in danger of not qualifying at all. Besiktas having a nightmare as well. And Young Boys too. For a team that often get into the Champions League, to have 0 points in this league format is incredibly bad. But AEK ourselves, Feyenoord, Rangers in very strong positions. Wolfsburg, Udinese a little bit more in danger. Sevilla, Rapid Vienna on head-to-head, I guess, because they're all on 12 points. 2 games to play. Ooh, broken collarbone, that's a weird one. But Arsenal only a couple of days away, unfortunately. In case you're wondering, by the way, I brought down the width, I brought down the tempo a little bit, I brought up the passing, actually. They also removed any of the instructions beyond play out of defence there. Everything else remains the same. I realise, to be fair, every time I've been told about Alvaro Fernandez at Auxerre, it's been because he's had a barnstorming performance, and yet I'm now being asked about his poor form. Unlucky Alvaro, last 5, 6.4. I should also just mention Jose Sarr, 13 conceded and 11. 2 clean sheets, 6.6 average in Greece. He's also played an international game and conceded twice in that. Forest pick up their first win of the season over Leicester. Forest have been bafflingly bad for a team that have been in the Premier League for 2 years at this point. Newly promoted Leicester and Middlesbrough. Slightly less surprising they're down there. But credit to Norwich, 17 points, well ahead of their compatriots in that respect. Just dawned on me that this is probably the first time, if you only watch Football Manager, that you've seen me do a recording with headphones on. I appear to have forgotten to take them off. Anyone following me from F1 will be used to this sight. Everyone appears to be fine in the first 11 here, so we will just roll with it again. It's an interesting team from Arsenal. They've made a few signings by the looks of things. Ito in central defence, Coyote at right back. We sit 6th in the table, they sit 3rd. It's a big match, this one. There's a bit of a gulf between 4th and 5th. Cunha sets... Ooh. Otherwise, that Arsenal first 11 actually looks pretty... Of course, Raya has gone back to Brentford, as we saw, after his loan. If they had an option, they didn't take it. Zinchenko intercepts that, but Smith Rowe in the way again. That's... Again, it's a day of facing your former teams, it seems, as Smith Rowe comes forward now and slams that at Ramsdale, hits the crossbar. Please not another one of these, thank you very much. I've had enough of that from North London teams lately. In fact, in regards to our first 11, these are literally the only 2 former teams that we could play in terms of the signings that I've made, because the only other one, Lucas Perry in goal, unlikely we're going to play a Brazilian side. Second half kicks off. We're only just into this. Didn't actually start with the kickoff, but Saka injured, but still playing on. Aït-Nouri miles outside the box has fouled Saka, but we're going through the rigmarole of, is it inside the box, even though anyone with eyes can see that it isn't. Thank you, VAR, for that. Aït-Nouri's on 7.4. Don't know why, but he is. Odegaard on the corner, steps over this. It's close, but not threatening enough for Lucas Perry to even make a move for it. Very quiet game, all things... Oh, I've just killed that throw in. Very quiet game, all things considered. We've had more shots than them, but only one target apiece. Falls to Aït-Nouri there. Lovely ball out, actually. Aït-Nouri, Kilman, Smith Rowe, finds Elmas. That's a good ball. Oh, Cunha's through. Cunha. Yes, lad. I don't know what came over me there. Sorry, you just saw another side. But Smith Rowe punishes Arsenal there. But ultimately, it's Elmas and Cunha. Elmas with the vision, Cunha with the finish. I thought that Elmas, I think, had gone on to a 6.3 just before that. Assist. Well, the Arsenal games of last season were the ones I regretted not showing you because they were mad. This one, now that I do decide to show you one, dull. Why is it the players playing well are the ones that are knackered? But I have to take them off. Dukanovic on, Aït-Nouri off as well, Bard. I don't know why he's asked me to put Max Aarons at left back. It's obviously not going to happen. We'll do that right back though, and Elmas is going to have to come off for Bellegarde. We'll make all 5 subs. Why not? Injuries, that's why not. Ito, Timber, Saka, still injured, still playing. I suppose that is true to life, thinking about it. Oh God. Of course it's an error. Although, is Gabriel Jesus offside? He was, because he runs back from being offside to collect the ball. Yeah, he's miles off. In the moment, I was panicking there. But then what I saw finally filtered through as there was that pause and the hesitation whether he was on. I was like, no, he wasn't. As kind of again, really, 1-0, it just sort of fizzles out. I mean, I don't love a Saka injury, but I love the fact that he played on because that is so realistic to what's happened in real life with Saka. Like, he's been driven into the ground physically by Arteta and England. Bless him. Give him a rest. I mean, that's a ridiculous win, by the way. 1-0 away at Arsenal. That's arguably the best win of the season so far for us. Still a gulf between the top 4 and us. 6 points separate, but inching closer as Man City failed to win. Who did Man City play? 2 clean sheets as well. Oh, it was a Manchester derby. I'm recording this on the day there is a Manchester derby, so that's quite amusing. Right then, we're dealing with Newcastle twice. There's 2 European games at the end of January, of course. FA Cup matches filter in through that. We got Brentford, which is a bit annoying because they're a little bit of a bogey team. We seem to struggle against them. Realistically, I would want to see you after the January transfer window where we play, oh God, it's a repeat. Aston Villa, Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal. I mean, after doing Liverpool, Aston Villa, Man United, Chelsea at the start of the year, what if we got another month of horror coming up? I don't like that. Admittedly, it does make a kind of nice run of 6 here, but I don't like this. Well, I suppose it seems right to play Aston Villa and Liverpool again, since you didn't see those games at the start of the year, and we do need to beat them, or would like to beat them anyway. Liverpool, very much a bogey team. Aston Villa, rivals. To be fair, though, 7 wins on the bounce and a draw against Norwich stands out there now, doesn't it? Crikey. Unbeaten since Spurs, but 5 wins on the bounce, 2 clean sheets on the bounce as well now. That's momentum. And if I'm not mistaken, in terms of total clean sheets, that puts him on more than Jose Sa had last year in total, and it's the 15th of December. He's conceded 19 goals in 21 starts. That's an improvement. £9 million, well spent. And youth intake preview came through. It's terrible. I did forget to include the youth intake at the end of last year because it was also terrible, and it was in fact a lie. I remember asking the question and showing you the youth intake preview in the middle of last season, and it's saying superb intake or something on that way in, wondering whether or not they fixed that problem of it being a great preview but actually terrible. No, this was our best player. Admittedly 14 finishing, 14 first touch, but for a 5-star preview in December, this was the best we got. Dear Sports Interactive, sort that out. I dread to think how bad a below average intake is going to be when it actually turns up, considering. I genuinely think we can make a good run at the Champions League. We're 9 points off the title and on a good run. By the time I see you in late January, I wonder what the gaps will be. But it's still 6 points to gain just to get into the Champions League. And Man United remain unbeaten at this point in time. So I think maybe we just leave that prospect for now. But Champions League, it could be doable if one of them starts to falter. If you enjoyed this episode, do like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal by now. Until next time, thank you for watching. Ta-ra.